for me, like, I'll never forget when I had to dance in a bikini and be drunk. And Paul was just crying of laughter when I was doing, because he was like, how do you not, like, your vanity is gone. He was like, you have no vanity.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Jade.
Hi, Alana. Can I have my tea? I'm feeling good. I hope that you have tea.
Of course.
Naturally, of course.
What tea are you drinking?
Chamomile. I don't know if that's like a good tea to drink. Maybe I should be drinking English breakfast right now, but like it's my like comfort tea.
I mean, any tea is good tea. I am drinking English breakfast, but you know, I have to represent.
Yeah, this is already what am I doing?
I'll just introduce myself. Like, I'm a writer director. I recently graduated from Columbia's MFA program in screenwriting directing, and I'm a BAFTA newcomer. So that's why I get the privilege of talking with you.
Yes.
Something that really stood out to me though in this particular film was your on-screen presence with Gary Valentine, played by Cooper Hoffman. Is there like a particular moment where you felt that chemistry develop with Cooper, because it is just so magnific to watch?
Oh my God. I mean, there's many moments. I was so lucky to have Cooper Hoffman be my Gary Valentine. And it took a very long time to find Gary. I mean, I was the first person that signed on to do Licorice Pizza. Me and Paul were like, well, who's gonna play Gary? I was very much like, I need to find, because I knew the relationship that had to be between Alana and Gary. They really needed to be two peas in a pod. When I read with Cooper for the first time, we were actually in New York. Me and Paul had flown to New York and didn't tell Cooper, like, this is your audition, because I think that he would have probably gotten super nervous. But we sat in this hotel room and we just read the script all the way through for Paul from start to finish. And even though we were really terrible, I mean, in my mind, we were incredible. But when Paul tells the story, he's like, you guys were horrible. We read through the script and we both kind of had this feeling of like, oh, we're a team. I mean, it felt so nice to have another person that also hadn't acted before. And we were really just like falling into this whole thing together. And it was the best.
Incredible. I guess, like, yeah, working with or being able to work with someone who is also, it's the first time that there is this immediate bond.
Yeah.
Did you find, like, how did you find that to develop during the creative process of actually working and doing the movie?
Obviously, we were super nervous, but I think the first moment that we kind of felt like we looked at each other and we were like, maybe we can pull this off, was the fight where Gary and Alana are, fighting over the fact that Gary wants to open a pinball palace, and she's trying to show him that, there's bigger things in this world, and now I'm a politician and I have to get my life together. But that was the first scene that basically me and Cooper shot, just us. And it was super intense because we really hadn't even gotten the characters yet, and we were fighting and falling apart. And after shooting that scene, we were like, oh my God, like, I think we're gonna be okay.
I read that you or that Paul didn't want you to take acting classes.
Yeah.
You just kind of were like, right, going in and winging it.
Well, that was my first question to him. I was like, should I like take an acting class? And he was very adamant, like, no, like, trust me, don't touch anything. Like, don't do anything. I had so many doubts in myself, and Paul never had doubts in me, which was crazy for him to see, because it's not like I had been doing monologues in front of Paul secretly for years. Like, I was just me around him, and that's what he wanted.
And it translates so beautifully. I know that he directed a few of Haim's music videos, and so you had a pre-existing relationship. Do you feel like that helped you feel more comfortable on set?
Yeah, I mean, with Haim music videos, it's funny, like, we have zero budget, no time, and like no warning for Paul. With Licorice Pizza, I mean, we had 65 days. So me and Paul really hadn't spent that much time together, and also like haven't focused. I mean, Haim music videos are kind of all over the place, and this was like a very focused film. Being able to step onto set and consider your director basically your family. And also knowing that everyone on set had also worked on Haim music videos, which was also a big like eye opener for me. I was like, how did we get you guys who are like movie magic people to do Haim videos? Like, how did we do that?
How did you do all that running?
I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. And it was funny because when we were shooting it, we ran so much. I mean, that's just the running that you see is like maybe a tenth of what we actually shot. But it really did help. I mean, it was such a big deal. I mean, even in the way that I walked, in the way that I ran, like everything was thought out in my mind, because Alana Haim is not me. She's a different person. But just being in the costumes and I was running that hard wearing period shoes. So my shoes were
really impressive.
Sprinting, but it helped so much. I mean, that is such a huge part of Gary and Alana's life. And also just being from the Valley, you are constantly running, trying to figure out what's next.
Obviously, Paul wrote this script like with you in mind, sent you the script in a Word document, which is baffling to me.
Yeah,
but and it's, you know, set in the Valley, which is where you're from. Your sisters are in the movie as well. Your parents play your parents in the movie.
And it was the most mind-blowing thing. And we sat down to a dinner table, which we hadn't done in like 5 months. And it was so funny. I mean, my dad is hilarious. They had no scripts. That whole scene wasn't scripted. It was just us as a family doing this scene together. But it was great.
Did you find working with Paul that music was part of that creative process and discussions? Do you feel like it is a main?
I mean, the best example is when we were shooting the first scene of the movie, Paul had known that he wanted to use this song called The July Tree by Nina Simone. And he wanted me to walk to the beat. But he played it for me right before we started the scene. And I kind of kept it in my brain, and it really did set the tone for the whole scene that we had shot. But that was like really when like my musicianship kind of came out, because I can walk. It's no secret that me and my siblings can walk really well. We walk in all of our music videos. So Paul knew that I could walk to the beat. And it's also no secret that Paul has incredible music tastes, and all of his movies, even the ones that are just score, I mean, they're just impeccable. It's outrageous. It's honestly annoying. I'm like, can you just be bad? Please. I haven't found one thing that Paul is bad at. One thing. He's incredible. He's a superhuman.
I would be absolutely terrified as a first-time actress. Obviously, you're in an incredible band and you have experience as being a musician and performer. Do you feel like dealing with being on stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people kind of helped you deal with that pressure and stress?
Is this weird, unexplainable wave of calm, and you kind of feel like outside of yourself when you, at least for me, I felt very outside of myself when I was acting, because you're not yourself anymore and you're playing this character. You have to do what's best for her. So for me, like, I'll never forget when I had to dance in a bikini and be drunk, and Paul was just crying of laughter when I was doing it, because he was like, how do you not, like, your vanity is gone. He was like, you have no vanity.
That scene where you're in the bikini, I was even like, what? This is incredible. Like, zero F's given.
I also love that I didn't notice until I saw the movie, but I had a huge bruise on my bum. A huge bruise that I have no idea where it came from. No idea. But of course I had to wear a bikini, and it was just like right there, front and center. And I was like, how did I was watching, I was like, was that a bruise? Like, what is that?
I'm curious, was there something about the process of acting that you thought would be scary but wasn't, or that you thought wouldn't be scary but was?
I was terrified through the whole thing, but it really is like when I had the support of Paul. I mean, Paul is such an incredible director, and I'm such a fan of all of his films. I mean, there is not one PTA film that is not just incredible. And when Paul says, like, you can do this, I mean, there was like a million times where I would look at him and be like, I don't think you can do this. And he was like, you can do this. I mean, there's a joke that that was on set that I constantly thought that I was going to get fired because, you know, you hear stories of actors, you know, like once the 2-week mark was up, I was like, okay, I think I'm okay. But you hear about stories that are like 2 weeks in, we had to reshoot the whole movie because, you know, the actor wasn't giving up the goods. And so I was constantly just like, oh, I can't wait till Paul figures out that I can't do this, because then we're just gonna, we'll have the talk. He'll be like, we're replacing you. And I would have been like, I get it. Like, I get it, replace me. But that never happened, thankfully. And he really did. I mean, without him, without his support, I probably wouldn't have been able to give the performance that I did.
Do you think that you would want to write or direct? Like, what's next?
I mean, I would love to act again. I mean, I would love to just try something new. I loved it so much. I loved playing someone that wasn't myself. And I loved acting, which is so crazy because, again, like you like go through 30 years of your life thinking you're one thing, and then you're like, oh no, you can do more. Like, that's pretty crazy. But directing and producing, who knows? I mean, I never say no in this life. If I said no, then I wouldn't be here. And I'm very happy that I'm here, and I'm very happy that I got to do this movie. So, I mean, never say never.
One question, since obviously this is for the BAFTA community, you know, we're like a bunch of actors, writers, directors. Is there any piece of advice that you would give to up and coming talent?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I can only go through, since I don't have much acting experience, but maybe this would, you know, ring true to an actor. I mean, when it came to me performing with my band Haim, we really did follow our gut and stuck to our guns. That was a big thing for me and my siblings, was that if we were going to fail, it was going to be our way. And if you do something that you truly love and truly believe in, then even if it doesn't work out, you did it for yourself, and you'll feel good about it because you did it your way. And that's what we've always done from the beginning. I mean, and it's very hard to stick to your guns because there's a lot of voices around you telling you things that you think that you should do, and it's very nerve-wracking. But if you stick to your guns, I feel like you'll succeed regardless of anything because you did it for yourself.
Alana, thank you so much for making the time to chat with us and have your tea. It's been such an honor and pleasure chatting with you and meeting you. And congratulations on all your nominations and success. So,
thank you so much. Thank you. And I can't wait to celebrate. We're going to celebrate. We got to celebrate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Lovely to meet you, Alana.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.